You know, there is one song that gets me out of trouble every single time, and that's the sweet melody of bribing a person of power and influence with cold, hard cash. But if I'm broke, there's a song that helps almost just as much. This is by far the most requested song I've had when I've just been playing live or busking or just like soliciting requests. Doesn't matter the age, both old and young know it. It hits a sweet spot in pop culture, and it is Valerie by Amy Winehouse and Mark Ronson. All right, so today we're going to talk a little bit about this song, why it's just really great to have in your repertoire, some cool ways to play it, and also just maybe some tips on how to take a very simple chord progression. The whole thing is basically just D to E minor, and then G to F sharp minor, A. So we're going to go over all this, but first I'm going to play a clip of this. This is me and my friend Amy performing it real quick. So just watch about a minute of it, see how I'm playing it, then I'm going to come back and teach the whole thing.
Well, sometimes I go out by myself and I look across the water, and I think of all the things of what you're doing, and in my head I paint a picture. Well, since I come on home, well, my body's been a mess, and I miss your ginger hair and the way you like to dress. Won't you come on over, stop making a fool out of me? Oh, why don't you come on over, Valerie? Valerie, 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 why don't you come on over, Valerie?
Alright, so this video is sponsored by Sweetwater and Soyuz microphones. Those are the microphones that I use to record the track. Amy's singing into the 017 fat mic, and I'm playing into the 013 for the acoustic guitar. I've used their mics for a long time. Also, another really great one that I use a lot is the 1973 microphone, which is fantastic. I think they might be my favorite microphone company, actually. They even make like a cool little booster that you could use with like a SM7B just to add some clean gain, which is really transparent. Awesome company. They're actually here in LA too, and I've met them, and they're super cool people. So if you are in the mood for a microphone, click that affiliate link in the description and check out Soyuz microphones at sweetwater.com. All right, so we're playing this in the key of D. Let's just go over just kind of like the basic chords real quick. The verse is super simple. It's just D major to E minor. That's the whole thing. Stay on D, and then go to E minor. And again, you know, that goes, depending on what part of the song you're in, that might repeat 2 to 4 times, right? And then after that, we're gonna go to the pre-chorus, G, F sharp minor. And that repeats 3 times. I'm gonna skip ahead. And then after that third time, we've got A major, and then this cool little climb. And then it goes back to the verse chorus, but then it's the chorus, all right? So, 2 parts. The main part, the verse and the chorus, is just D major to E minor. And then the pre-chorus is just G to F sharp minor, and then A. All right, so I'm gonna just teach it exactly how I played it because this is a cool way to maybe fancy up like a D major to E minor, right? And that's fine playing it like that. But if you wanna add that little so there's a lot of stuff that you can do just D to E minor. All right, so first of all, we're gonna do is we're gonna replace that D major with a D major 7, because that's how every major chord was intended to be played, as a major 7 chord, finding its true form. So we're using the voicing here, the D on the A string 5th fret, ring finger 7th fret on the D string, middle finger 6th fret on the G string, pinky 7th fret on the B string, okay? So this is gonna be the 1 chord in the key, right? And we're gonna play with a little pep, a little staccato-ness to kind of, I don't know, take the spirit of the song. It's kind of like peppy, hoppy, you know, when, you know, that almost like old school, I don't know, doo-wop style, right? I think you can kind of get that vibe on an acoustic guitar when you just add like a lot of mutes and choke the chord off instead of letting it sustain, right? So that's going to be the rhythm of it. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So think of 2 bars, right? That's going to be the vibe that we're going for. So it takes a little bit to really get the whole thing down, but it's a combination of mostly your left hand putting that pressure down and coming off it. So for the E minor, we're going to actually stay in that same spot. It's really just between the 5th and 7th frets here in the middle of the fretboard. I'm going to walk it, that D, D sharp, E, and then this minor 9 chord voicing, which is really great. 7A, 5D, 7 and 7, G and B. And then the one thing that I'll do is I'll take my pinky and go from 7 to 8 and back to 7 sometimes. Okay? And then just kind of adding that silence, I think adds like a lot of, I don't know, a lot of dynamic to a performance, especially when you have an awesome singer like Amy that can hold it down. You want to leave room for her to just shine, right? So again, most of it is just this. Or just D. And again, the good and the bad thing about open chords is, you know, they ring out a lot more. The open strings are helping you, therefore they're easier, but you do lose a little bit of control. Where now if I want to mute something, it's all kind of on my strumming hand to kind of hit that bridge and choke those chords off. Whereas if I do it here, my fretting hand, I have a lot of ability to add some vibrato on the top of that minor 9. How good does that sound? It's like, come on over, Valerie, get over here. It's that tension that we're creating, right? So that's the entire verse and chorus. That's most of the song right there. And again, this is such a good one to learn because a lot of singers that you might end up working with probably have heard the song and maybe know a lot of the words, right? There's a very storytelling vibe to this song that lends itself to people just knowing a lot of the words, right? So that's why it's a great one to learn. But after that, let's do the pre-chorus that leads us into going back to those chords, maybe playing them in a different way. It's just G to F sharp minor. And like I said before, we're gonna do this 3 times. Dun, 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 dun. Back to the G major, then F sharp minor, then go to A, then walk it back up to the 1 chord. Okay, so real quick, G major, you know that. Bum 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 bum. F sharp minor. Again, 2 4 4 2 2 2. I think an easier way to do this is maybe playing F sharp minor 7 or minor 11 or something like that. If you have problems barring that, which again, not the easiest chord to play that F sharp minor, this voicing, just 2 E, skip the A string, 2 D and 2 G, and just play it like that. So G, F sharp minor, 7. Easier, or maybe this one too, 4 4 2, A, D and G. There's a lot of alternate ways to play F sharp minor. If you see that F sharp minor and you're turned off, just be like, you can do it. There are easier ways to do it. I really think this one right here is probably the one for you. But that's gonna happen 3 times, and then we're gonna go to A major. And then this is a little climb where I'm playing the A major like this, like a bar chord with my pointer finger. Open A, 2D, 2G, 2B. And again, don't get the high E string here because we want the melody, the leading tone to be on top, and I'm just going chromatically 1 at a time. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I'm gonna end on the 5th fret of the B string, which is an E, which, again, you know, we're working our way back home. We're working our way back to D major. There's A major, A with a D on top, A with the D sharp on top, and then A with with an E on top, which again is the same as open E. So. And then we get back to the D major to E minor part, but we're gonna do it a little bit different because this one has a lot of pizzazz on it, right? So the cool thing about the original recording are like the doo-wop horns and stuff. So we're gonna kind of try to take one of those lines and add it into the chord in a way that's not too distracting for the vocal to go, right? So now I'm still playing that same D major 7 chord that we started with, but I'm gonna add on top. So my pinky's on the 7th fret of the B string right now, and then when I do it with the chord, I'm gonna play it with my pinky on the 8th fret, and then I'm gonna end it by getting the A on the high E string, that 5th fret, right? So I'm hearing bum, 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 but with the chord. Okay? So I think one of the important things to think about when you're maybe adding a chord melody on top of a static chord like this is think about how your pick is attacking the chord, right? I want to hear that, but it might get lost in a chord if I'm all just doing like just big downstrokes for the full chord. So something like this, you'll notice that like I'm getting an upstroke on those last couple notes. And that's why hitting that high A on top will kind of poke out a little bit more if you hit that upstroke. So D major 7 to E minor. See how like at the end there? That upstroke is gonna have the melody, the chord melody on top ring out more. And that's the whole song. So you notice, like, I'll play through the whole thing real quick. And notice how maybe the first part, the first verse is muted a little bit more, and then you can dynamically bring in the rest of the pre-chorus until you get to your loudest part, which is gonna be the chorus, right? So D major 7. Pretty heavily muted, right? I'm not gonna do that chromatic walk every time because then it gets a little repetitive. But then I'll bring it back. And then I'll go to the pre-chorus. G, F sharp, minor 7, G, F sharp, minor. I'm gonna do a little extra sauce here on that G, which we'll talk about at the end. Then A, bring the volume up a little bit. Then choke it. See how I'm not muting at all with my right hand. So then when I go back to the verse, I can bring that volume down, right? But yeah, basically that's kind of the entire song. I do want to talk about that little special sauce on that G major chord to that F sharp minor. That's one thing that I learned specifically from playing live shows and kind of getting bored with chords that never change. So every time that you have a major chord or any minor chord, any chord ever, you can arpeggiate them. And that's why learning your arpeggios is really smart because, again, G major, what do you think of when you hear G major? Don't just think of a chord, don't just think of a key, think of the chord tones that are in that. So it's like, oh, I see a G major. It's like, all right, G, B, D. What else can I add there? Well, I could just take that arpeggio where it's like G, A, B, D, G, D, B, A, G. And then kind of, let me just play that in context of the chord. G. Same thing, right? I think when you do that sparingly, it kind of adds a little bit of excitement. So I do the same thing with that that F sharp minor. But then in my opinion, it gets a little too much. Like if you're like G, F sharp. You know, it might be cool. But where does it end? You know what I mean? So it's walking that fine line as an accompanist between really just shredding, blah, adding notes all over the fretboard to serving the song in a tasteful way. But again, you know, what's tasteful to me might not be right. There's no right or wrong. It's whatever you want to do. But super fun song to play. There's a lot that you can do with it. And a lot of people know. Like I said, there's something about it hits this sweet spot where, you know, younger people like it, older people like it, and like everybody just kind of likes this song. And like I said, I know from experience, this is the most requested song that I get. And a lot of singers can really slay it. Amy being one of them, first and foremost. So throw her a follow if you haven't already, 'cause she's amazing. And thank you to Sweetwater and Soyuz Microphones for sponsoring the video. Great stuff. Like I said, if you have any questions or comments, hit me in the comment section, Instagram, or the website. I'll talk to you all soon.